In class today, we're going to be talking about the possibilities for the Blue Springs site in Blue Springs, Mississippi. In my opinion, I believe the park should be turned into a fossil park for educational purposes, not only for the state of Mississippi, because we rarely have any outcrops that, we study as a state ourselves, but, more of along the lines for educational purposes for children and the youth of today and in the state. Our topic today is an outcrop exposed showing strata from the Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era is located in Blue Springs, Mississippi, right off of Highway 9 down the street from the Toyota motor manufacturing plant. There are a number of fossils that I personally found at the site myself, including from the phylums, bryozoa, crustaceans, mollusks, porifera. There's a number of different things that people could find out there, just to name a few. But before we discuss, get any deeper into the park, we need to discuss like what personally needs to happen. In my opinion, what needs to happen for any of this to even happen in the first place. I have a couple things over here. I have funding, location, people, and educational purposes, which is the most important. So let's dive right into the things that need to be discussed. Okay, first we got funding. Funding might be an issue, but in my opinion, I don't think it would be the biggest issue. Obviously there's going to need to be money poured into this, for things like to pay people to work there. In my opinion, also the park needs to maybe be bigger, and there needs to maybe be an info station, you know what I'm saying? And all this money is like got to come from somewhere. And the problem with that is the entire museum with everything in it would need to be rebuilt on the land near the outcrop. So, which really doesn't need to happen, honestly. Like I said, I believe there could just be like a small info station that could tell like, what you're looking for out there, what's to be found out there, a little background history on what happened, and as well as having people around to even give those tours, you know what I'm saying, to describe these things to you themselves. Um, there are like plenty of places where we could or the money could come from, you know what I'm saying? Like one of the ways that I have down here at the bottom is the underrepresented community grants from the National Park Services, and they work towards diversifying, nominations submitted to them for these grants, you know what I'm saying? And the URC grants are funded by the Historic Preservation Fund and are administered by the National Park Services itself. And these projects include surveys and inventions of historic properties associated with communities underrepresented in the National Park Register, as well as development of nominations to the National Register for like in other important sites, you know what I'm saying, or like smaller sites, you know what I'm saying, that maybe won't be as like, get noticed as much. Like for instance, like I think the Blue Springs site, it's small, but there's a lot of room for improvement. It could be worth a lot. And like I said previously, there's not a lot of places in Mississippi where we can go to find these places to study these strata, you know what I'm saying? And in Northeast Mississippi alone, I've been in Mississippi for a long time, and I know that, education purposes in the Northeast Mississippi could be worked on anyways, you know what I'm saying? North Mississippi is really bad as far as like, their public school systems, they could be better in like learning. They could have more money allocated towards them to helping these students and helping these children out, and especially with their life after school and after high school. A lot of these people don't have too much to look forward to, and I think it'd be a great thing to definitely keep the park in Northeast Mississippi and make it bigger than what it is now. Next week, there's some photos of the site right here. You see like the gray portion is the main part of the outcrop that we normally study, and there's not too much room where you could build anything extra around there. I mean, it's surrounded by road. There's a couple patches of land, you know what I'm saying, but like I said, you don't want it to be too big, or you don't have doesn't have to be too much money poured into this. I mean, the site itself is what needs to be preserved and what needs to be studied and looked at for these educational purposes. there are other forms of funding. I believe we've talked about the Toyota Wellspring Education Fund, and they've been doing an awesome and amazing job into giving millions to schools in those counties up in Northeast Mississippi. That surround Blue Springs, and making sure that those schools have the money and resources that other schools around the state have, to make sure that they have the things that they need to be able to learn and to, to find the importance in something, I'm saying, bigger than themselves after school, and that's something that I believe the state struggles with a lot, that we could get better at. And it all starts in the youth for sure. Um, but the best help I believe personally Blue Springs needs is a group of dedicated scientists that love educating the youth and learning more information themselves, and this group, could include professors, geoscience departments and, state level environmental groups. There are plenty of people that show love for this, for the hot, show love for paleontology and geology and, and would love, personally like teaching other people about it. And I know personally myself, just from my own like experiences that I've taken with Blue Springs this semester, I would definitely love to like have that opportunity to spread my knowledge to other students in the state. Next, what can the park offer? The park can offer, like number one, educational purposes, what I'm saying, but and that can be like shown in a number of different ways, as an undergrad geology student, and like as I first when I first came there, I didn't know anything about what I was looking for, what the area was like, millions of years ago, what I'm saying, and like a fascination built in me from the people that help help me and help me learn about the Blue Spring site, the fossils that were there, and the paleo environment prior to what it is now, and that like I would definitely like to credit my professor and paleontologist George Phillips for that for sure, and that is the kind of enthusiasm that I think needs to be put into this, and the people that needs to work for the new site in order to get the interest sparked in other students, just like it sparked in me, and kids I know are highly fascinated in finding fossils, what I'm saying. That's something I know a lot of kids do themselves already, so I don't think it'd be that hard finding like getting people to come, what I'm saying, but we definitely need to make it important to other people first and let them know like the importance of what we're trying to do here with these with the park itself, and maybe we could even reward, having a reward process for for like younger people who find like more important fossils like mosasaur bones, which are like pretty hard to find. I haven't found one at the Blue Springs site, neither of my colleagues, and maybe that, I mean, I think a lot of kids, will like be fascinated if you tell them, there's dinosaurs out here, there's a lot of stuff you can find, and it keep people busy, and it keep people busy for a long time, saying that, the site that all these fossils are on, are highly preserved and like preserved really well, so it'll definitely be a lot of fun for a while to come. And not only to mention, the educational purposes, but the job opportunities this will open up for, undergrad students, what I'm saying, that are looking to get more like maybe like finding something that they want to get interested into after their undergrad, or maybe they want to pursue paleontology in their in the grad school years, it would be a great opportunity for those undergrads. Like I said, I would love working somewhere like this, and I believe like plenty other undergrads would too, if maybe entice them a little, as far as rewards, as far as maybe extra hours added on, added onto their curriculum, or extra points for a specific class, or little small things like that. And I mean, like even without rewards, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people willing, to like wanting to further their own knowledge in the field, what I'm saying, and wanting to spread their knowledge to other people itself. You know, as far as like the future for Blue Springs, I could see it staying a fossil park, but there has to be a lot of work put into it. There has to be a lot of money. This funding has to come from somewhere. Um, but really there has to be there has to be an effort put forth first. There are plenty of organizations, there are plenty of programs that are willing to hand out this money. Yet these programs are having a hard time getting funding themselves from government. Because the government isn't allowing too much money to be spent on park preservations and budget costs and everything. But I believe it in the future, what I'm saying, with enough push and enough importance, especially for the state of Mississippi, like we need this. I believe the kids around here need it for sure too. Need something to look forward to. A lot of people just don't around here don't have too much to look forward to, in growing up, and I believe that would be a wonderful thing for everyone and everyone involved. So definitely spark the interest. It needs to be talked about more. It needs to be brought up to more. I believe maybe we should go around the different schools, especially every geology program in Mississippi, get everybody on board, get head departments thinking about looking into it, writing letters, to government officials themselves, these programs and organizations themselves, like the NPS, like the National Park Service, and other, organizations that can have the help. But I think that's where I'm going to wrap this up. And thanks for listening. And I hope to see all of you next semester, I hope. But thank you for paying attention. All right, thanks.